I forgot the visual aid, so this is my visual aid. We'll see how this goes. All right. So, homework. Did I scare you? Now, odds are homework is probably the most dreadful part of your day. You don't like doing it, and you leave it off as much as possible. But what if we didn't have to do homework? Now, I'm not arguing something as ridiculous as, make no homework, no more homework. Obviously not. But what if we didn't have to do homework? Make homework optional, not mandatory. I'm going to say a lot of things today that you might initially react as, now hold on, that doesn't sound right. I could probably never do that. This probably shouldn't be implemented. But please stay with me and listen to my arguments fully through, because they might change your mind. Now, homework in its basic form is simply practice for classroom topics. For those who don't need the practice, who feel comfortable with the things that they're learning in class, homework probably is just going to be a waste of time for them. To those who aren't comfortable with classroom topics and need to understand them, well, they should still have that resource and practice it as much as they'd like until they do understand. However, in a 2014 study by Charlene Kalenkowski and Sabrina Pabilonia titled "Does High School Homework Increase Academic Achievement?" it was found that homework time and has positive effects on academic achievement. So, sure, even if a student doesn't need homework, it's still beneficial for them, right? Because no student is perfect. No student gets 100% every time. So, having to do homework will still improve your score. But by how much, really? If a student averages 95%, do they really need to put in that time and effort to average 98? Besides, Dr. Nunez found in his 2014 study, Teachers' Feedback on Homework, it was found that though some studies found positive relation with homework time and academic achievement, others often found either no relation or even negative relation. This is because what's important here is the quality of how you do your homework rather than actually spending a lot of time on your homework. Most students, like I said before, leave their homework for the last minute. They don't want to do it. And so they cram that homework. They don't really get as much nutritional value from this homework as they can. Nutritional value. But this is because students don't want to do their homework. Students procrastinate and have terrible work ethics. Which brings me to my second point, work ethics. I know that when most of you hear that if homework is optional, you'd probably think, well, I'd never do it then. Because we don't really have the best of work ethics. Most students have poor work ethics and only do things because of points and for their grade. As long as due dates keep them on track, they're perfectly fine with it. However, according to Dr. Rubin's 2012 article, Assessing and Navigating Candidate Study Habits, to be a success in college, students must establish good study habits as they pursue a degree. You have to have good study habits. Now, some of you probably do. A lot of you probably don't. I know I have terrible study habits. I definitely left this speech off for as long as possible. And here I am giving it. It's definitely not as good as it could have been if I put more effort into it and more time. Strong work ethics ensure success, but are hard to establish for most students. In fact, most students only do work because of their grade. Simon Lay stated in his 2013 article, Perspectives of College Instructors, that college students exert only the minimal time and cognitive effort, and they may stop as soon as reinforcement ceases. Which means, if homework were optional, if it wasn't worth any points, if it wasn't worth towards your grade, you probably wouldn't do it. And that's the case, currently. If anything wasn't worth any points, if anything didn't affect your grade, you're probably not going to do it. However, that's because we're not used to it. That's because we're not used to this. If we were exposed to this kind of optional homework from a young age, we'd have already adapted and understood that, well, in order to succeed, I have to put in my own time and effort to understand the things that I don't. But currently, we don't have that strong work ethic. If homework were optional, I do believe that it would implement a strong work ethic into each and every one of us in order to succeed. And my third point, time. Students who don't do their homework can spend time doing other things. That's one of the main reasons why people procrastinate homework and put it off, because they want to spend their time doing other things. If you don't need to do your homework, like this guy who's very good and understands his stuff, then you probably don't have to, and you can spend your time in club activities or spending time with your friends, socializing, or sleeping more. If you're like this guy, well, you probably only need to do as much homework until you understand it, and then you don't have to do the full assignment. Based on Dr. Nguyen's 2015 study, Influence of College Clubs, clubs have a positive effect on student interest and achievement. So really, students who are doing less time doing their homework have more time to engage in clubs, engage in campus activities, and basically improve their own well-being because they're out and about, being part of communities, and enjoying their life. Now, according to a 2012 and 2013 Statista survey titled Amount of Time Spent by Pupils on a Computer for Homework, 45% of students spend 1 to 2 hours, and 14% of students spend 3 hours on their computer doing homework. That's more than 50% of their time on their computer doing homework. Just sitting either in your room or in the library, just sitting there watching a screen. That's not healthy for you, that's not healthy for anyone, and odds are you probably don't want to be sitting there for that long doing homework. And most of the time, like I said, since you put it off, you're going to be sitting there at night in front of your screen when you should be sleeping. It's going to be even harder to sleep because of the blue rays from the computer. And overall, your health is just deteriorating more and more from each and every bad decision that you make. Now, again, I'm not saying to get rid of homework. Homework is a very, very good resource that anyone and everyone should and could use in order to improve their skills. But if you don't feel that it's necessary, if you don't feel that you need to practice, you shouldn't be required to do it. It's a waste of time and effort if you have other things that you prefer to be doing, and if you have other things that you have to do. Because the homework that you don't feel like you need is also impeding on the homework that you feel that you do need. You have to manage your time even more simply because of some assignments that you simply don't care about and simply won't affect you that greatly. This is why I believe homework should be optional rather than mandatory. It'll implement great work ethics. It'll implement great work ethics. It'll improve those who need the help, but it doesn't have to hold back those who don't. And last but not least, the thing that I said third was that you have more time to do things that you'd like. Please consider optional homework. I'm sure it appeals to a lot. Thank you.